Hi YouTube, Regina here. So today's topic, I wanted to talk to you about creative ways to build up an emergency account, an emergency fund, or even a bridge account. So in my case, I plan to retire in 2026. And so this comes to mind to me because I'm really trying to save as much cash as I can before I cut the cord on the paycheck. So there's just some statistics I did want to share. So, the average American, and I imagine that in other countries, the savings rate really varies as well, but the average American savings rates vary on income, their expenses, and really their spending habits. And so, there's some general statistics on savings. And so, in 2023, Bank Rate survey found that only 22% of Americans I'm sorry, 22% of Americans have no emergency fund whatsoever. And then from there, only 40% of Americans feel comfortable enough to cover an expense in the equivalent value of $400. So 40% feel they can comfortably cover a $400 emergency. And then the median savings account balance in the US is around 5,300. And so that means 50% or more than that, and 50% or less than that. And while experts recommend having 3 to 6 months of money saved up in essential expenses, the reality is that only 25% of Americans actually have a 6 month emergency fund. So 75% of people do not have a fully funded emergency fund. And so these are some alarming statistics. So it really is an emergency not having an emergency fund. So I wanted to go over some creative ideas and some things that I've done. And some of these may be new to you completely, but it's just about starting a conversation and putting ideas in your head so that you can start becoming creative in ways that you could find to save money. And then actually take that money and transfer it over to an online savings account, whether you open one at Capital One. I think the Capital One has a high yield savings account of 3.8 right now. I don't know what Marcus is, but there are other online savings accounts that give you a really pretty decent interest on your money. So you don't want to just leave it in a standard checking. You don't want to leave yourself with access to that money, but you want to be able to have access to the money where you can get it in a few days when transferring over to another account, but not that you can readily spend it. So that's really pretty important. So, number one, creative ideas, and most of these I've done. Number one, scour your purse, your wallet, your jacket, your drawers, your car, and just look for money, even your couch cushions. If you are anything like me, I tend to leave some money in my pockets. So when I transfer over a bag, I may take some items out, carry a different bag with me, and I may leave money in the old bag. Definitely leave money in jackets. And I've even found money in a calculator. Yes, in a calculator. A calculator had like a little booklet, and I had put $200 in the calculator to cover a plumber coming over, and my husband ended up paying a different way and then ended up finding that $200. And then just the other day, I found a little over $40 in my computer bag that I left myself with some lunch money in the event that I needed cash. And I completely forgot that there was any money in my computer bag until I went to this little section. So scour everywhere and see if you can come up with money that you can then use somewhere else in your budget and then funnel money over to your emergency account. So that's number one. Number two, return items with receipts on them. Back in my 20s, I lost a job. I was a really big shopper. I would buy so much clothes. I would rarely be seen in something twice, although I did wear things twice, but I was a big spender. And back in my 20s, I lost a pretty nice job of where I was getting paid pretty decently, and I needed money immediately. And though I was able to find some part-time jobs to fill the full-time position, for the short term, returning items actually got me a lot of money back. And some of it was in the form of being refunded over to my Visa. But just to be able to have the money to be able to comfortably pay for rent, returning items worked for me. Don't know if that would work for you. Some stores have a limit of how many days you can return things, but if you are anything like me and you're a big shopper and you are among the folks who have no money saved for an emergency, you probably have items that you bought that you could return and it could give you some cash back. So that's number 2. Number 3, trade in any gift cards for money. Trade in old phones. I know at Walmart used to have like this little station where you could drop off old iPhones and they would pay you some money. And of course, you could sell these things too. But if you are able to get a gift card that, let's say, it is something that you're not really going to use, or you not sure that you would find, you might spend more money if you went to use it. So I've actually done that. I'm forgetting where I know there's a site online that you can return gift cards, and I did this myself and was able to come up with some cash that way. And that worked. Other things that I have done with regards to gift cards, not really gift cards, but like if someone at work needed to pick up subway cards, I actually have, and from every employer I've ever had, I've had money coming directly from my paycheck to a credit card that I could buy subway cards. And so I would offer to go pick up subway cards for people and they would give me the cash, and I would get dollar for dollar for doing that. So I've done that as well. So that anything that you can do to redeem some of the money, whether or not you're picking something up for someone and they give you the full value, or you redeem those credit cards for part of that value. And other things would be for this would be like if you get um, money that, like in the past, I've gotten gift card value for um, going out number of days to a gym. So if you have access to a gym and they give you value in a gift card, then you can turn around and do that as well. Maybe save some money overall in your budget in another area and then funnel that money immediately over to an emergency account. Not saying you can't use it for fun money, because you certainly can, but that means it's going to reduce another area of your budget. Number 4, yard sale, garage sale, stoop sales, any kind of sale that you can do that is considered where you're putting items outside. We in Brooklyn, where I am, there's actually a guy who just puts out a table almost every day in front of a Dunkin' Donuts. He has no permit, and he's just selling odds and end stuff on a table. And then it's very common for people to just sell some items right in front of their home. This is probably the one thing I've never done. I've never done a stoop sale or a yard sale. Believe it or not, that's probably one thing I've never done. But I've actually have, when I made jewelry in the past, I've delivered it to some stores and offered, for them to get a percentage if they were to sell that item for me. But I just never went back to go pick up the items. But I did drop off some items to go sell them. So maybe that counts for that area. But number 5, sell stuff that you have that you are not using. This could be like going to a pawn shop. This could be going to a consignment center. Let's say you have old bags or old shoes or something that is worth high value that you yourself are not comfortable in selling, or maybe you just don't have the time. You can do that as well. And so this could also mean that you give away items that are really of high value so that you get a discount on your tax bill as well. But anything that you can, I've done this. I put things over at consignment stores and, been able to get cash that way. They've also used to have where you could sell your gold, and they used to have storefronts for this. And so I had a lot of gold, and I don't tend to wear yellow gold. I tend to wear more the silver or the white gold or the platinum kind of color. So for me, I don't really look great in yellow gold, in my opinion. And so I sold a lot of gold when I needed money. And I literally was able to immediately fund my emergency fund just with that one thing alone. Because my mom used to work for a jeweler back in the day when she used to. So she really purchased, she would give us a lot of, well, I still have some of her jewelry, but a lot of jewelry that we would get or we would buy would come from when Macy's was having a sale. And back in the day, I used to buy a lot of jewelry too. And so that really worked for me to be able to immediately fund. So sell your stuff of things that you can, and maybe use that money like I did to immediately fund an emergency fund. That one really helped for me. Number 6, do a no spend challenge of some sort, even a no spend category. Right now, I'm doing a no spend for January. I'm trying to see if I can live on my husband's pension and the rental income that we have coming in for the time being, and see if that works for, you know, whether we can stay within our budget and completely save my salary. We always used to save my husband's salary, but now trying to do it the other way around, just so to see if we could actually live on his pension and rental income that we have coming in. But if you're able to do a no fund, a no spend month or no spend category, then you, again, the money that you saved in the specific spending categories, you want to move it over to your online savings account that you opened up. And I think Capital One has the 3.8 right now, and I don't know what Marcus is, but there are other online savings account. The idea is that you wanted an account again where it is away from you be able to use it immediately to just start spending and buying other things with that money. Okay, so number 7, work some extra hours, pick up some extra shift. If you are a non-exempt employee, you may be able to pick up extra hours. I've done this many times where I've worked and I have, like, if they needed somebody to work a meeting off site and it involved weekend travel, I used to do that all the time. Now I'm a little bit, older in my life, and a couple of, maybe a year and a half ago, I gave up doing those kind of meetings, but I would get a lot of overtime. And then I would also get a lot of nice little vacations I would take on the weekends, to go as well, or take on extra days so that I can enjoy being in the city that I was in. And I got to stay at some really, really nice places. Like I stayed at the Fontainebleau in Fort Lauderdale, no, in Miami, and I went to New Orleans and Vegas, and just a whole Fort Lauderdale a couple of times, Orlando, Washington D.C., Chicago. So just all around, but so I did a lot of overtime working those off-site meetings, and some of these did involve weekends, so it did involve a lot of overtime pay. And then they do have some local conferences that they do as well. And so I've worked events at Rockefeller Center. The year before last, I did that. So I stopped doing it again. But they definitely have opportunities if you're a non-exempt employee where you might be able to pick up overtime. And if you can, take that money that you made by doing the overtime and completely treat that overtime money as your emergency fund or your bridge account in my case. So I may start doing that again, picking up some extra hours just so I can build up my bridge account. So they offered us to go work a meeting. I didn't sign up for it, but I'm just waiting to see an opportunity, one that I like, that sounds a bit more interesting for me. But definitely that's something to do. So, number 8, if you get paid every 2 weeks, and some people do, there are 26 paycheck in a year. And so you have to figure out when that extra paycheck is. But if you started out the year, then those extra check, I think, would be May and October for this year. And you want to just take that entire extra paycheck that you would get those 2 times of the year and immediately use that to fund your emergency fund. When I was getting paid, every 2 weeks, that was something that I did. I literally figured out what weeks I was getting extra money and boom, put that into an account for myself. Let's see my list. Um, go down, wrong way. Um, when a payment ends, this would be number Number 9, if a payment ends on an item, you want to pretend that the payment still continues. So this is if you paid off a phone, if you paid off a car, continue to make the payment, but make it to yourself and immediately take that money that you were making for that payment and fund it to your emergency account. So when my car payments ended the first time around, when I had a really high car payment, I continued to do this so that I could build up a fund to be able to buy a car or at least have a down payment for my next car. And this was one of the things I did. But you can do it. You can do it for your emergency fund as well. Try to keep items that you have for much longer. That will really go a long way. Number 10, sign up to do some gig economy work. Even me, as a millionaire, I still do this to this day, partially because I'm a curious person, but also because I just like learning about different things to do. So I tried developing books on book bolts. I have delivered groceries in Florida. I'm signed up to do Uber Eats. I didn't sign up for DoorDash. I didn't do Uber Eats yet, but I have done Instacart, mostly just to, when during a week off, I will go and deliver some groceries. I like doing it. I like being able to explore the area around. It's probably one of the reasons why I like watching those YouTube channels where people are delivering foods. I like seeing different neighborhoods. And back in the day when I was much younger, I used to deliver pizza as one of my little side gigs and or like little side jobs that I did. And I love doing it. I love driving. And so for me, that was definitely something that I did, and something that I'll probably even continue to do if I ever get, bored in retirement or feel like we're spending too much, or I just want to come up with the money to be able to buy like a fancy lunch or something. I'll happily pick up groceries and don't drop it off for someone else. So honest work is good work. So anything that you do to make money, it is honorable, and so no one should look down on anyone for doing anything. And I am certainly of the boat of making money is just like kind of like a fun thing to do, and so gig work, sign up to do any gig work that you can, and take that extra money that you make and immediately fund it to your emergency account. And for me, it'll be my bridge account if I do it into retirement. Okay, next. Sign up to do some surveys. They have Survey Monkeys to do this. I used to do surveys all the time. And I don't know how I got into it, but they would call me around and I would go and do the surveys and literally sit in the room. I've done ones on cars, I've done ones on perfumes, and they've been fun. I even did one on packaging, on the different kind of packaging, and they then pay you to do those surveys. But right now online, there are a lot of little survey things that you could do, and they will pay you in the form of a gift card. And then you can turn around and do one of the other methods and, maybe use that gift card if it is for a vendor that you use and do it that way. I've also gotten gift cards to when I used to like go gambling and stay at a hotel or something. They would give me the gift cards for gas money and stuff like that. So you could figure out ways to reduce your budget in other areas and then use that money to fund your emergency money. Next is any found money, anything that you get back. And so found money is like any refund. So I recently got a $250 refund from Norwegian. They canceled a cruise that we completely paid for January of 2026. We were able to pick up another cruise, so we're going on a cruise in March. But they gave me partial refund, and I got that refund money. So it was $250 that they didn't end up refunding to a card. I ended up switching a credit card, so that came back. And then this month, I also ended up getting $754 back, completely found money in my case. And in this one, how I got $754, I paid the insurance bill on our property in Florida, but the property itself ended up getting a new roof. And when they built the new roof, I know as a fact that if a property, the roof in Florida is over 10 years old, your insurance rates go up. And so in my mind, I thought, well, we just got a new roof. Let me just submit this to the insurance company. And so I did. And I was told that no, it's the insurance rates are going to stay the same. There's not going to be any refund. And they ended up giving me $754 back and didn't even tell me that it just came back to me. So that's look for ways where you might be able to just get some money back. And this could also be in other things. When it comes to paying my tax bill, I signed up to pay my tax bill quarterly as opposed to once a year because they give you discounts when you do that. And not a lot of people realize that you could sign up to pay things early and then they give you in the beginning, it might be for each quarter, I get a different discount. I think the first one I get 20, then 10, then 5, then 5 on the different quarters when I pay my property taxes. But though that is found money. So that 750, you're going to see it in my budget this month when I do reveal my money. But those two things alone this month, I ended up getting $1,000 back. So it's pretty amazing as far as spending is concerned. So apply any found money that you have to your budget so that you can end up saving the money that you don't spend in another category. It doesn't give you the freedom to go spend out crazy somewhere else, but yeah, found money, that's the best. Next, any money that you spend, consider doing a match. And this, what I would mean, would be discretionary spending on smaller items. So let's say you're going to go buy yourself a coffee. If you can go and afford to buy yourself a coffee, consider taking that exact same amount and funding your emergency fund and just literally doing the transfer. You're spending the money to buy yourself a coffee, then go do that. Other things you could do is if you break a bill, take that extra money that you break the bill and save that on the side. Whatever you come up with for the next month, if at the end of the month, if you have, let's say, $50 and $5 bills, take $50 out of your budget for the next month and fund it to your emergency account. So that would be that one. So that would be number 14. Number 15. And this one is probably a bit unusual, but this is definitely something that I've done, is um, my vacation time. So in the beginning when I started job, and I've started many jobs, they give you the vacation time. I try to bank some vacation hours and not use my complete vacation time. And I know it's hard, but every year I'll try not to use 2 or 3 days of my vacation time. And I'm at a point in my life where I get a lot of vacation. I get 24 days a year. 4 of those days, I believe, no, 3 of those days they expect us to use during what is considered winter shutdown. So the period between Christmas and New Year's. So most of those days they give us paid. But what ends up happening is because I get a lot of time off, I can save a few days a year. And my last employer I was at for about 17 years. And when I resigned and got another job, I immediately went from one job to the next. I knew I was going to get a payout. And so I took that payout, was a month payout. And instead of using the vacation over the full 17 years, it just saved days that in the event I ever got fired or something happened, that I would get a big payout. I would get a month's salary essentially. And so I took that month's salary when I got paid, and I put that immediately and saved that money. So those are the kind of things you want to do. And I did that with the job before that as well. And I'm going to do that with this current job as well. So when I retire next year, I will get paid probably about, I think the max they'll pay us out is 4 weeks. And so I'm going to make sure I have 4 weeks in my vacation bank that when I go to retire from this job, that I'll get paid out those 4 weeks of vacation. And my husband did this as well. He was able to accrue sick days. And in his 32-year career, he was able to accrue the 200 sick day maximum that they would pay you for. And so they would pay you half. And so over the course of the next 3 years, last year, this year, and next year, they're paying him a third, a third, and third. And so he's basically getting 33 days of sick time each year. And then he also got 7 vacation days during COVID time period, and he's getting paid those out as well. So if there are creative ways where you have your employer can pay you out if you don't use that time, Try to bank some money that way. So the event that you do have a job loss or something happens, that immediately could be your emergency fund. And then the tax refunds. Tax time is coming, tax refunds are coming. Anything, donations you could do, things you could do to reduce your tax bill so that you could try to get a refund. We give away big ticket items. So my husband used to have two basses, and he's orchestra player. So he was a music teacher. And so we have an orchestra um, size bass, and he gave one away to a school, and we got a big write off for that. Every year we give to charity. We don't, obviously, when you give to charity, you're getting less back, but it is very good to give. And no matter what, I have to give. But other things that you could do as far as items, clothes, and things around the house that you give away. There are like Salvation Army. If we're going to buy new furniture, we can give some furniture away that way. A lot of the stuff we do, we give to family. We give to we put on the curb to give away to people who may need them. But other items we do give to Salvation Army, so we can get the discount in on our tax bill. And if you are getting any kind of tax refund, that can actually help you to save money for your emergency fund. A lot of people, when they get a tax refund, they end up spending the money, and that is just probably one of the real best ways that you can fund an emergency fund. Now, yes, they say that it is probably better to have that money coming to you and fix your tax deductions on your W-4 form so that you can get the most that you can when you get your W-2s, or when you're getting paid, that you get your most money. But because the savings rates are so low in this country, it's actually, having a tax refund is not a bad thing to do for yourself, particularly if it's going to immediately help you fund your savings. So consider doing that. And then there are the tried and true methods. This would be, I think, number 17 is to look over your budget, find any areas that you could reduce, any things that you could rent out. Maybe you could rent out your car. Maybe you could rent out space in a garage. Any ways that you can make money, that you can do those kind of things as well. And if you're getting interest and from money that you have in your account, that also too can beef up your emergency funds, especially if it's in high yield savings. And then just look over your budget. So any areas that you can cut back that you may not even realize that you're spending, if you're tracking and you're monitoring, then you can find areas that you can cut back. Again, if you're doing a no spend, you'll immediately come up with ways to find money to then fund your emergency or bridge account. Okay, and then finally, add a line item in your budget for emergency fund or savings or bridge account. And so for me, I am truly just trying to save my entire salary right now. So I'm not even considering that I'm making a salary, because I want to beef up my bridge account. So that's going to be a line item in my well, I'm not putting it down in the budget that I'm going to share, but it is pretty much a line item in my budget for saving for my bridge account. So that you can do that yourself. Just actually prioritize savings before you even spend, so that you're beefing up your savings rate. I actually have my check going into three different accounts. I have a portion of my check that immediately goes into savings, and I've done that my entire adult life. And then some of that money gets funneled over into investments, and some gets funneled into an online brokerage account, which also gives a very decent, I think it actually gives better than online savings account. I think it's a little bit over 5% instead of, or a little over 4% on an online savings account on the brokerage. So I do that. I have a portion of my salary going immediately into an account that I don't touch. I don't even have an ATM for it. And then it gets funneled into different accounts. So I'm immediately saving, and it's part of my budget. That thing where they call, savings first or save first. That's what I'm doing. Pay yourself now. So really save and treat it as a line item in your budget. And then I have a portion of my salary going into spending money where I have a specific amount to spend. And then, of course, I have the rest going to pay for bills. But this month is different. So, and you'll see that in my budget when I share that probably in February and do a video on that. But these are some of the creative ways that I've saved, and I pretty much have done every single one of these things on the list that I've shared, with the exception of actually throwing a yard sale. I've never done a yard sale, so that's one thing, but I don't have a yard. So, but when we were kids, I guess we did car washes and things like that. And I did sell candy and stuff like that to make money. And of course, I've had plenty of side gigs. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have other creative ways that you've saved money and that you beefed up your emergency fund, your bridge account, if you're, heading into retirement, what did you do to make sure that you beefed up the amount of money that you had? And share them in the comment section. And if you made it to the end and you enjoy this, share which one of these saving creative ideas that you like the most, and hit me with a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.